Hey, so I wanted to talk to you about some of the misconception that people have that there are only certain types of things in shelters. Some people think that there's only pit bulls in shelters, there's only beat up looking cats in shelters, there's only the ones that people don't want. And unfortunately, there are animals, cats and dogs both, in every breed, color, shape, size, age, anything, that wind up homeless. That's just the reality of the unfortunate situation that cats are in. As Mo comes to join me, I can show you an example. I mean, that guy was in a shelter, and it doesn't get more beautiful than him, in my opinion. I mean, maybe Leo, but it's something that's consistently thought, and unfortunately, people shy away from shelters sometimes because they don't believe that the animal that they're looking for could exist in a shelter. Now, all of the cats that I put on the little slideshow before this were cats that were adopted from the shelter I worked at just within the past few years prior to me getting cancer. So you have to understand that all those beautiful cats came through the doors of a shelter. And it wasn't a breeder, it wasn't anything else that needed to be obtained in order to get these cats. You really just needed to look at a shelter. And this is one just little local shelter in New Jersey. So you can imagine, as this message goes to people all over the country, possibly all over the world, the amount of cats that are available to you, the difference in all these different things. It's just amazing how many gorgeous animals are in need of homes, and it doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon. One thing I always stood pretty firmly on, this is another one of those things that was completely leveled when I got cancer and I was out of the building, was that I always stood on making sure that these prized cats get adopted through us. As long as we had the ability, we had the space to keep them and make sure that we got the adoptions. I always felt that those successes were very, very important. Reason being is it helped to get rid of the stigma of these shelter animals being lesser than the ones that are bred here or bred there. Because if the only way that you would get those would be your rescues, sure, you can get the most beautiful cat that comes into a shelter. You can get the most beautiful, perfect dog that comes into the shelter and say, well, I have a perfect Siamese rescue I could send this cat off to. They'll take it in a heartbeat because this cat's so adoptable. Right. But if you allowed that adoption to go through your hands, now everyone who meets that cat, everyone who walks into these people's home and says, where did you get this amazing, beautiful cat from? Oh my God, what breeder did you go through to get that cat? Oh, I got that at a shelter. So you want those successes, although they are easy adoptions, you want those easy adoptions to go through your business. You want them to go through your system, because if they do, then it helps to broaden your adoption base to people who are looking for a very specific thing that they would otherwise continue to support breeders in order to get. So I think it's very important that we do our best to move all of these beautiful animals, these exotic animals, these ones that we look at and say, oh, well, that would be an easy adoption over there or over there. Make sure it happens here, because it's helping all the other ones. And so many cats and so many dogs get homes that wouldn't even be on someone's radar because they came looking for something else. So there might be the person that comes looking for the Siamese cat and falls in love with the calico. There might be someone that comes looking for the Maine Coon but then just falls in love with the long-haired cat that's not quite a Maine Coon, but looks like a little smaller mixed version of something that they had years ago, and suddenly that cat has a new avenue. And I think it makes a big difference. Sure, we could move these golden retrievers all out to rescues, but if someone got their beloved family pet from a shelter and they told everyone they knew that was the beginning of the story of this animal that became family, it'll continue to advertise for the shelters. I understand when things are overcrowded, you have to clear out the best you can, and you have to make sure that you're not in over your head. So things of that nature I completely understand, and yes, the rescues are looking for your most adoptable animals. But when this necessity is not there because your space is far under control consistently, it doesn't make sense to move out your most marketable assets, because it cuts down the amount of people who are coming there. So that's just something that I wanted to put out there. It's just how I strongly feel about all of that. And on top of that, after I get finished talking here, this next montage, unlike the one before this, are cats that need homes. This is just me quick searching for cats under different categories locally. Again, your locality is going to have something completely different, but every cat, after I get finished talking here, needs a home right now. Does not have a home. They're not in breeders. They're in shelters. You look these cats up. You find a cat. You can find what you're looking for without going through breeders. I promise. It might take you a little bit more work, but you can absolutely do it. And these cats deserve it. They're sitting in shelters, they're sitting in fosters, they're sitting in rescues. They're sitting in places where they don't have their forever home. And as you see, they're absolutely gorgeous. They deserve better.